Hi, and welcome to this week's edition of The Buzz. I'm Todd Jaden with Kelly Polk. And as you can probably see, we don't have a guest with us this week. So first time in a couple of weeks where we have to be a little closer to each other because no one's sitting between us.
I was going to say, I feel naked. You know?
Yeah. So, but we've got a number of things we need to cover today. So let's get right to the agenda. And we're going to start with Hazmat compliance, kind of the process for drivers that are dealing with hazmat loads. So why don't you kind of take them through the process, Kelly, and what folks can expect if they get assigned to a hazmat load?
Yeah, well, first off, we don't haul a lot of hazmat loads, and so when drivers find themselves getting an assignment that is a hazardous load, it's important that you kind of follow some of the best practices to ensure that we're compliant when we're moving that load. And so one of the processes that's been put in place is to have drivers contact a hotline. And that hotline is using the standard 800-558-7010. But if you press option 2 and then option 4, it takes you to the hazmat team. And they can kind of help drivers walk through the process to make sure that they're compliant. And DBLs have been asked to make sure that they're kind of helping to prompt that. So if you have a hazmat load, make sure you call the hazmat hotline before you leave the shipper, and that'll put us in a much better position so we don't have problems going down the road with the hazardous load.
Good.
Yeah.
The next thing is, and what kind of prompts this discussion is that we had our first official frost in Wisconsin within the last week.
Tell me about it.
Last night it got down into the 20s for the first time.
I saw a snowflake 2 days ago.
And the forecast is for snow. And typically, you know, one of the ways we kind of assess whether it's a successful fall within Wisconsin is if it doesn't snow in the month of October.
Right.
Looks like it may not be successful this year because there is snow forecasted in our recent, in the upcoming days. So we'll kind of see how that plays out. But what it does is it reminds us that it's that time of year where things are cooling off, and it's really important that we spend time to ensure that our cab heaters are in a workable situation.
Yep.
So I would gather you probably have called the local technician to come out and look at your furnace. I know that's
Every
what
year.
we do.
That's right.
On an annual basis.
I'm sure many of our drivers do the same.
Exactly. And so for those of you that live in the northern climates, you know what Kelly and I are talking about. It's really important to do the same with that cab heater. So any other comments in that regard?
Well, what we've learned, certainly with the implementation of the ambient temperature sensor, is our trucks are much better insulated than they were in previous years. The technology, the battery technology, so what we've learned is that truck will start even in sub-zero temperatures. So our objective is really to make sure that the cab of the truck is creates an environment where the driver is comfortable, and these cab heaters have proven to be very, very good at that. But they have to be in good working order, and that's really the reminder here is let's get them checked out. If they're not operating properly, let's get it done because the cold weather is upon us.
So I would encourage you to test that cab heater as soon as you see this video. And if there's any sort of malfunction, then get it into a shop and we'll get that fixed prior to the cold weather really being upon us.
Yeah. You know, Todd, we started doing the Buzz many, many months ago now, and one of the first things that we wanted to accomplish was to say, you know, we want to make sure that we're acknowledging what drivers are telling us. And so I thought we'd spend a little bit of time talking about what's on the discussion board, and because that was originally what we wanted to accomplish. And so I thought we kind of hit a few things. I went through the discussion board this week. I found some information on the work assignment app that we talked about a couple weeks ago. You know, that daggum thing is, people like it. It's working pretty well. So great news.
Well, and what I've heard is it's very convenient, and quite frankly, that's why it was created. It's a convenience for our drivers to take a look, if you have the ability via a smartphone or a tablet, at what that work assignment looks like.
Yep.
And so it was developed because of feedback from you, for you, and it's working out really swell. So that's great.
Great to hear. So the way you get to it, you go to CrossRoads, you could select mobile application or full site, I believe. you click mobile application, and you're off to the races. So thanks for the feedback. The other thing we heard was some questions around ambient temperature sensor, and the question from the message, the person sending the message was, hey, are we going to put the sensor anywhere else in the truck? We're going to hang it on the mirror. And so I made a call to Brian Pastursky, who will be on the Buzz in the next few weeks to talk about this subject and other subjects. But what we've learned is some of the newer trucks are coming with the sensor on the mirror, but the accuracy really isn't much different. So we'll have sensors in a couple different places on the truck. But Brian did mention that one of the enhancements that we're working with Freightliner on is perhaps using a kind of the local news mobile app or an app of sorts to determine what the temperature is, and not use a sensor but use the actual local news to provide us that information. So more to come on that, but as far as from the questioner's perspective, no changes are planned, at least this year.
Well, and I would just loop back to our earlier conversation, which says the important thing that we want you to do right now in that space is get that cab heater up, working, checked out, because we know that the cab comfort is associated with that cab heater.
Yep. And the other subject that continues to kind of be problematic for us is the sound quality. Back in June or July, Dan, and I'm not going to mention Dan's last name, but Dan's a guy who's been providing us some feedback, and we get this feedback, we make some adjustments here, we do some things here, and really we're still not quite where we want to be. But sound quality is always going to be better from your laptop or from a kiosk, but Dan and others, we're working on it, and we'll hopefully be getting closer and closer to making this a good experience for you. So thanks again.
Well, and in talking to one of our drivers last week about this very subject, one of the things that he indicated is if he does watch it through the MCP, it really needs to be in an environment where the truck isn't idling, where things are kind of shut down, and you're not in the middle of a noisy truck stop and the like. So there is an opportunity to do it through MCP. The environment just has to be the right one.
That was good feedback. The other subject was OnGuard, and don't have a lot of information to share, but Brian Pastursky, I mentioned him earlier, will be coming in the next couple of weeks to give us an update, so we look forward to that. But again, thanks for all the comments and feedback on the discussion board. It's designed to kind of create a forum where you folks can have some interaction. It's not a question and answer, but certainly Todd and I review it very frequently, as does Sherry. And again, the original purpose of this Buzz was to make sure that we are staying on top of some of this. So again, thanks for the feedback.
Okay. Anything else from your perspective this week?
None. No.
Okay. So I'm going to close with this. Last night, as part of the weather forecast in the Green Bay area, they showed a picture of the national map. And you can see a distinct difference between kind of the northern tier of the U.S. and the southern tier. The southern tier still very warm, temperatures in the 80s, in some cases in the 90s. But you get north of, kind of that southern Indiana, southern Illinois area, and those temperatures were in the 30s and 40s. So, folks, it means it's coming. Be aware that we could see snow as soon as this week in various parts of the country, and with that comes all of the safety things that we talk about regularly. We're very proud of our safety record, and so let's certainly drive safe and be aware of those changing weather conditions. So thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you next week.
Take care.